This week on Women Who Rise, I'm joined by Arizona real estate leader and speaker, Kelli Kim. And this conversation goes way beyond real estate. We talk about what it really means to build a luxury business with heart, how setbacks can become redirection, and why success without purpose never feels like enough. Kelli shares how faith, relationships, and courage helped her journey and the mindset shifts that helped her move from chasing transactions to building true impact. If you're in business, leadership, or just in a season where you know you're meant for more, you are going to love this episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Women Who Rise. I'm your host, Heather Mansy. Today, I'm joined by Arizona real estate leader, entrepreneur, and speaker, Kelli Kim. Known for building a heart-centered luxury real estate brand and helping others grow through faith, service, and intentional expansion, Kelli is a founding partner of the K Lux Group with eXp Realty, and she has become known for her philosophy of luxury with heart, where success is measured not only in production, but in impact, relationships, and personal growth. Through her speaking, her mentoring, and business leadership, she teaches agents how to build businesses rooted in integrity, purpose, and courage. I'm excited to go deep today into her journey, her mindset, and what it really takes to rise in business and in life. Kelli, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Heather.
Well, I'm so excited to talk more about your rise. Obviously, I have seen you on stage recently, just amazing. And being able to learn from you, I think, for anyone in the real estate space is just something that is an honor. I wanted to go back for a minute. What were the early experiences in your life that shaped your belief that success should be built on relationships and service, not just on results?
So I would say probably just, I think the interpersonal connections with people, I think is important to come alongside people where they're at. And, I think through some of my own personal trials and being thrown into real estate, it wasn't certainly something initially that I had chosen. I had been, I don't know, this is a good time to share this, but I had come from being basically a stay-at-home mom and raising four man-child. And I actually did entrepreneurship. I was importing and designing products, and then after 35 years of marriage, actually went through divorce, something totally unexpected, not by choice. And I thought, if I could do anything I wanted to do all over again in my 50s, what would I do? And I'm like, you know what? I think I'd like to go into real estate. So that kind of shaped the direction and trajectory of my career. And that was a big step, making those big choices to go, into a completely different field or something that I've never done before. But I had the freedom and the choice to do it. I never looked at my situation as a victim, but as an opportunity for growth. So I think that was the biggest thing that actually propelled me into a career of real estate, is kind of by choice, not by choice, but by choice, I don't know if that answers the question there, but
No, but I do think that your background is so informative. Just the fact that, you had a sudden change in life that really made you choose real estate. You got to actually have sort of a stopping point in the road where you got to reevaluate and decide what you really wanted to do with your time and with your life. I love that real estate was something that had been obviously on your mind in the past and became maybe that dream or that goal in the moment. And obviously, having come from being an entrepreneur prior to that, which I wasn't sure about that part of your history, it's really amazing because it means that you would have brought a number of things to bear on that. You've said that some of the hardest moments in life were actually redirection. Can you share a time when something didn't go the way you planned, maybe after launching your real estate career, but ended up maybe leading you exactly where you were meant to end up?
100%. I have a great answer for this one. When I first actually decided to go into real estate, I had no idea where to start. I mean, I passed my exam the first time. I know I'm one of those lucky ones because not everybody does that, but both state and school. And then I ended up, I had no idea what brokerage I was going to go to. And everybody that I just put on social media, hey, anybody have any recommendations about a great team? I think I need to start with the team to grow. And I have no idea where to go. And I had a new number of people suggest a particular brokerage and a team. And so I reached out to them and joined that team. And I have a lot of respect for them in regards to my training and like what I learned. And they really did propel me for where I am at today and who I've become today. But initially, initially it was fantastic, but truth be told, I kind of got fired after my mentorship program. After my 3 transactions, I think, well, truly mutually, we had come to a decision that they were not the right team for me. They were just not they didn't have the same integrity, values that I had, and that where I wanted to go. There was many different situations in team group meetings that I could recognize that we did not align morally in some areas, and just my compass was off. And so I guess it kind of came out of kind of being fired, and I had no idea where I was going to go after leaving that team in brokerage. I mean, I thought I would go solo after, but and maybe stay with the same brokerage. But I had another agent reach out to me on the other side of a transaction when I said, hey, if you don't get anything from RTC, just let me know. I'm happy to I'm leaving that team by the end of the month. And so I want to make sure something falls through the cracks, please reach out. And she said, oh, where are you going? And I think that was life-changing question for me, because
Yes.
after meeting with her, talking with her, watching a few videos and interacting with some of the other agents that were part of the group of EXP, there was no question where I was going. And
Yeah.
being with an entrepreneurial spirit and the freedoms and choices that I got to choose independently had made all the difference. So it wasn't something that I expected. Didn't see that one coming. So I kind of laugh at it today because it's the first time I've ever been fired. I'm not the type of person to be fired or to be let go from a team, but
Yeah.
it was the best. I feel like it was God's grace, honestly, in my life, because it propelled me to a completely new chapter, and I can't imagine being anywhere else.
I love that. What an amazing story, because honestly, it's like you said, you didn't have any history of that, having kind of a poor separation, or, not having something work out, and then to have it be so fortuitous that it ended up literally propelling you right into the company that would be, this spark for such a massive future. I mean, this is absolutely extraordinary. And I love what you said about freedom and choices. So, really being able to look at the information, see that this was something for you, and what you saw was freedom and choices. And you also talked about having a morality fit, basically, someone, a place to hang your hat that you felt ethically would align with you, and, or perhaps give you the freedom to express and be aligned with yourself. You often talk about building luxury with heart. What does that really mean to you? And how did that philosophy develop as your business grew?
I would say, out of my own experience, like oftentimes in real estate, one of the first, um, I don't know, like areas that you need to experiment with is like, who is your who? A lot of people ask that question, especially when you're in real estate. Who is your ideal client, and identifying that person? And I think I really recognize that my who is my favorite person. I mean, I love working with couples. I love working with, um, you know, next gen when they're changing life seasons, especially couples. But my favorite who is actually the single woman and actually helping her to build courage into those life changes. So I think out of my own experience, it has given me such a heart and a desire to help other women have courage in like purchasing their own home, for those first time home buyers that are maybe coming out of divorce, or the single lady who's never bought her own house. I've been there. It was a tough decision, again, after being married for 35 years previously
Yes.
and never having to make those decisions on my own, and finally bought my own house over a year ago. I do think that also just gives me such a heart to actually help other ladies feel that courage to do that as well as from an agent perspective, as a real estate agent, just um, building courage into other women as well that you can do this, and
Yes.
dispelling the myths that you don't you can't you're not made for this. You absolutely are made for this, and God's given you talents and giftings, and go use them in a way that's just going to honor Him and then honor the people that you're coming alongside.
Fantastic. And honestly, I can hear myself how that message would have resonated. I don't know. I was lucky to grow up with a very supportive mother and things like this. Not everyone has someone to really believe in them and to give them that, external strength and validation that they do in fact belong, that they are worthy, that they can do this, that this is an opportunity to really rise and allow yourself to thrive, and that you obviously as a supportive person and a great role model to follow, clearly have been able to exhibit that and to be able to let people feel that. And I imagine this is certainly the reason for your success, that and that entrepreneurial spirit, and an awful lot of hard work. As your business expanded, what mindset shifts did you have to make to go from focusing on production to focusing on making a broader, US wide impact?
Again, I think from having the perspective that you're made for more than just your own little city, or the people that are in your own community, just knowing that, I guess I feel like I've always wanted to make a bigger impact in other people's lives and help shape their choices, and give them that freedom to just scale, I guess. So I think, just a heart and a desire to want to come alongside women, and I feel like God just put all these women in my life, whether they're in my own town or not in my own town, that I have a voice to be able to try and encourage them to grow.
I love that. And honestly, that's enough, right? We think,
Yeah.
this isn't rocket science. It's not like you have to go invent something. Sometimes in life, all you need to do is be someone willing to share with others, willing to help, willing to inspire, willing to lend a hand and believe enough in them. Like I was mentioning a moment ago, and based on what you had said, when you started stepping into leadership and speaking, was there a moment where you realized that your purpose, was bigger than this mentorship, or that maybe it was going to demand more of you, than obviously the selling homes and that VIP luxury treatment of your clients?
Was there a moment? I think I've always had it in me. I've had some self-limiting beliefs, I think, that I had to get past. And just to be truth be told, I think I also thought that it was so much better to have a partner that actually would align with that goal, and praying a lot that God would bring me a partner, whether that would be another woman that just wants to come alongside and have that same vision, in which I definitely feel like I've had. I've had so many supportive roles of women that have gone before me that have poured into me. But also, just realistically of praying that God would bring me a man that would do that. And he has brought me another man that comes alongside me and is part of my team building. So we've grown this last year tremendously. I mean, a lot for where I want to. I didn't want to scale too quickly. I mean, now I can scale a little bit quicker. We've got systems in place, but we have we have grown our team as well. So, having somebody else, but I think it started with my own mindset. I had my self-limiting beliefs in that I don't really know if I want to do this alone. I don't, want to grow that. It would be a lot.
Yes.
And he brought me my daughter-in-law actually as my transaction coordinator and real estate agent alongside me. So I kind of got the bonus. I not only got her, I also got a partner now as well that we plan to be married soon. And I think, he's
Oh,
come alongside me well. So yeah, it's been helpful, but I think it started with my
fantastic.
own piece for sure. I had to get past
Yeah, and
them.
I think it's yeah, and incredible, by the way that you were able to recognize that and that you kind of understood, I have something here I probably need to maybe fill this cup and figure out someone who can help me. It's many coaches will say we are stronger together. There's no extra prize for getting to the finish line alone. We may need to get either coaching or someone to help us or a partner, or maybe we need to look at partners and friendships in our life and people who can be supporters of us and all that we're up to. Fantastic.
Yep,
And
and we
just the
did
fact,
actually
by the
hire.
way, congratulations that you're getting married.
Thank you.
Sorry.
No ring yet, but it's anytime.
I love it. I'm excited for you. And so I wanted to ask you as well, your story shows a strong connection between, faith, personal growth. You mentioned some people that have been really good mentors for you as well. How has your faith influenced the way that you lead, make decisions, and maybe even handle a tough day or handle pressure?
I think that some people have more challenges in those areas. I've always been a person that has faith that, if there's a situation, while it may knock you down for a moment, it's like my biggest problem is solved. So as a Christian, as a believer, my biggest problem is solved. So when I think about that, like I don't let those particular situations like really knock me off the ground, and I just trust every situation. Like, giving an example of a single gal that came into our open house this last week, and she immediately said that she had an agent, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but I just give with heart and soul regardless, and I'm going to 100% give my heart, and I'm going to give the same value that I would whether or not they have an agent or not have an agent, and just trust God with the bigger picture, whether or not they're going to work with me or not. And it has actually turned out that she's working with me. She's talked with her other agent and worked some things out. So I'm very blessed. Like I just see the bigger picture in some of those situations that, just give with your heart and it's always going to come back, whether or not it's from a referral or from them personally, you show up with authenticity and with heart, and that hopefully transfers and they see that. And hopefully they cannot deny that. And I just feel like God's going to bless that. So I think that's kind of how I've handled those situations.
Fantastic. And really, I just love that. It's regardless of knowing the outcome that you're going to 100%, just give of your heart and that you're going to
Mhm.
trust that that's going to work out in any case. I also love that you said your biggest problem is solved. And obviously alluding to the, everything that faith has given you. And I think that that's enormous. Many high achieving women feel tension between ambition and fulfillment and also balance, right? How do you stay aligned so that success itself still feels meaningful to you and is going to continue being the thing that you want to get up and do every day?
Well, I do keep a schedule. I think, there's so many different aspects of my schedule that I hold very dear, and I do not compromise on them. Working out is one of them. I mean, I think it's part of, again, I want to stay in good health. So I'm a big on working out and keeping that like a consistent pattern in my life. I also lead a Bible study and I give to women who are basically, most of them, 90% of them are unchurched. I do not go to church, but they felt comfortable to actually come into a home and just have organic conversations about the real things of life and have that support. So I hold that very dearly. I'm very committed to doing that. We meet every 2 weeks, and then we have, a text thread where the ladies, connect with one another. So I think just keeping certain things a priority as busy as we can get in real estate,
Yes.
I just, I do not compromise those times by because I just know things will. My bigger purposes is to is to use again the gifts and the talents that I have, and I know for me,
Yeah.
one, taking care of myself health wise is going to be number one important to be able to be sustain that, my work life as well and that balance. And then also, just taking the time for what I know the bigger purpose is just really investing in women's lives on a personal level, not just a business level.
I love that. And, it's like we have so many people that will jump into a new business, a new career, whatever it is, and think that they need to just wholesale sacrifice when in fact, sometimes keeping certain, like you said, non negotiables can be the very thing that will give you the fuel you need to go and do a bigger task or a bigger job or launching something major, having a new business, whatever it is. They can be very literally those things that can prevent you from feeling like you're missing out or burning out, is that you need to be able to continue to take care of what matters most to you. When you're mentoring other agents, what is the biggest thing that you see holding them back from the level of success that perhaps they express or say that they want?
What holds them back? I think taking advantage of all the tools. I mean, specifically,
Mhm.
obviously within our own brokerage, there's so many tools and resources that are available. And I think carving out that time and making that a priority to grow and to learn in those particular areas. I think oftentimes it's probably, while I'm not a very rigid time blocker. I think having purposeful intentions that I am going to grow in these 5 areas in the next 6 months. What are those and how am I going to grow in those areas? So, probably being intentional with growing in all the resources that obviously our brokerage and or I provide them. You can lead a horse to water, they say, but you can't make them drink. And so
Yeah.
I think, again, just continuing to encourage them and remind them of the tools and the resources that are available. But I think oftentimes it's distraction. I mean, it's just distraction in
Yeah.
general. And it's probably the phone and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and all the things that can distract everybody, and or the
Yes.
the calls, and next thing you know, you're not doing any work or making the calls, and you gotta make the calls.
Absolutely. And, so wise to at the end. I mean, you just hit the nail on the head. It's, there are certain income producing activities that we're not focusing on them. You're going to eventually run yourself right out of a job. And you need to be able to do the work that maybe is a little less fun or at the moment in order to be able to have those big wins, and be able to, like you said, you talked about distraction and also about consistency and being able to stay purposeful. And I think those are great takeaways. You host events and masterminds focusing on growth and influence. What separates the people who truly rise from the ones who stay stuck, maybe from those dreamers?
Are you talking about, like, the attendees that actually come to the events? Or are you talking about the people like
Yeah,
those of us who put them on? The attendees? Again, I think it's
honestly, that's
implementation,
really, yeah. Definitely, and I think both categories, can be true, right? That, you have the people who are putting on those events, are they really able to sustain their own growth? Are they able to get to that next level that they're trying to go for? And then also, like you said, for the attendees.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it's a decision to grow. And then, finding somebody who's leveled up, somebody who's higher than you in that area, and shadowing them or growing from them and being intentional to ask those questions. But I really think it's implementation too. I mean, often, who we're all guilty of this. We go to an event, and we listen to these speakers, and it is hard, and I acknowledge that. You gotta take away 2 or 3 things and decide to implement 2 or 3 things. It's so easy to hear so many wonderful, resources, especially in my brokerage. I feel like they just are pouring in all the time, and There's so many
Yes.
great tools and resources, and there's so many great speakers and so many great topics to grow, and you just cannot do it all. You've got to find one or
Yeah.
two and then just be held accountable to those items. So what I've tried to do, like I recently did a whole presentation on HeyGen and the use of the opportunity to use HeyGen, which basically creates a a video from just a picture. So I'm you would think it's me on social media all the time, and it's not. It is me, but it's my AI version of me, and I am literally giving value all the time. But I gave a talk on that, had great response from it, and I'm taking the initiative to reach out to every single one of the people that have showed up and said, "Hey, have you implemented it yet?" I mean, I'm not getting anything from that. I don't make anything by following up on them, but I am trying to ask them, interact with them. Have you implemented it yet? Do you need some help getting that going? I'm just trying to provide value to help them and be inspired that they can do something more and take one thing off their plate, because social media is so easy to spend hours, especially if you're not tech savvy, to spend hours doing it. And literally, you can use this tool and use a VA to do it behind the scenes, and it costs you hardly anything at all. It's so worth it. So I think just following up with them um, is probably the biggest thing, and just coming alongside them. And have you followed up with it? And how can I come alongside? And same for us on the other side. We just need to keep learning and just taking one or two of those items, because there's so many that we're being bombarded with. There's so much new
Yes.
technology that's being thrown at us, so many different opportunities of growth, whether as an agent or attraction or what have you. You just got to take a couple items and follow through and get accountability.
Fantastic. Yeah, so well said. And I am so impressed with the fact that you're picking up the phone and helping people, just to find out if they were able to implement. Because it's like you say, we go to conferences, we just got back from Cabo, and you'll learn so much. I have a whole notebook. How do you find time to implement? I've got a highlighter on the plane back, and, I'm literally actioning things. Those emails will go out when I land, or I wouldn't be able to implement if I didn't do that, because the minute you hit the ground, life happens again. I
Yep.
absolutely love that, and actually took notes about Hey Jen as well. um, I've heard about it before, but I have not used it. And boy, you really hit the nail on the head with this thing that social media takes so much of our time in life, and it's also a massive distraction. So while you're trying to get socials out there, you also can be distracted by socials. So it's kind of a difficult proposition. What
Yeah, I have a
what is something?
YouTube video. I'm happy to send. You can go watch it on your own, and actually actionable steps to help you grow in that area. So I just put it out there on YouTube
Love
just
that.
to.
Fantastic. And we'd love to share that for the audience as well. We will definitely try to link that in comments, because anything like that that will help us, I think, is extraordinary. And thank you so much for that. What is something that people assume about building a luxury brand or a high level business that maybe isn't actually true on the ground?
Um, I think that probably that you have had to, sell 5 or $10 million in luxury to be considered a luxury agent. No, I think luxury is more, obviously price points included there, but it is also experience, the concierge service that you're giving as a luxury agent. So I think that that's a little bit of a myth that you have to. I'm not qualified to be luxury. No, no, no. You are qualified, and there's learning with that. Like, I feel like, I mean,
Yes.
while I'd sold $1 million homes prior to actually going luxury, and I think like even in our median price point here in Phoenix and Scottsdale, luxury is still kind of like $900,000 or more is anything that's considered luxury. Anything really above the median is more luxury. But I think people's mindset, especially in Paradise Valley, Scottsdale, that it's got to be multi millions, and it really doesn't. You don't have to have a ton of experience in that, but need to definitely have the willingness to grow and learn the luxury market. And that can be learned. It's not something you have to know overnight. I mean, I've been going to the Paradise Valley tour for the last year, every biweekly, and just learning like the different architectural designs and the concepts and different builders, and it's a learned thing. I don't think you have to know all the answers. And, again, I still would say find somebody that's above you that knows a little bit more about the luxury so that, you learn the talk, the conversation, the how to not even just from an experience agent client experience, but even just from knowing the product, having somebody that's actually teaching or you're coming alongside and learning, it's going to be super important.
I love that. So much good stuff there. I wanted to also ask you, have you ever had a, particular time in your business or life where you questioned whether all the work was worth it and maybe you considered pivoting and, what helped you to bring you through? Because obviously anyone in business, you're going to go through various ups and downs. We just came through a period of relatively high, as much as 8.5% interest rates that kind of suppressed buyer and seller activity for a while. There was the Great Recession not that long ago. What are your thoughts around some of those things and being able to persevere through difficult times in any business?
So, I think again, it's probably mindset. So I'm probably one of those rare people that haven't really experienced this part where I go, "Oh, am I really made for this? Should I get out of real estate?" I feel like I've been pretty blessed. I put in a lot of work. I probably work more than most people, just not necessarily in hours, but just in intention. I'm always being very intentional and strategic about where I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm talking to. So I haven't really had an experience of where I felt like I'm out of this. I mean, do I have times where I'm like, I have no idea where the next paycheck's coming, like, or how long it's going to be? Yes, but I think that for me, I really did do the work internally and spiritually to find out, like, really what am I made for and my bigger purpose, and trust that God's got the best of it going, in my direction, that he has a plan. And if he tells me to pivot sometime, and he has shifted a little bit of pivoting with just growing a team, which is different. Uh, but for the most part, I've I've really just been intentional with what I just know I have a bigger purpose, and so I'm gonna go forward with what I know I'm called to do, and there'll be times that are maybe a little bit of a lull, or I don't know if it's gonna be 2 or 3 weeks or 4 weeks before my next paycheck. I trust, that he's gonna provide and, get back out there and meet more people and, keep having the conversations, and, there's always open houses, like, there's just really in my mind, there's
Yes.
really no excuse because especially with our brokerage, we have so many opportunities for open houses. And I've learned from the best. I mean, I've never had to do 7 days a week open houses, but, that would be my biggest suggestion for people who are feeling like, "Am I really called to this? Don't have a paycheck. I'm struggling." I don't care. I would tell the person who's feeling that way, go do an open house 7 days
Yeah.
a week. There's no excuse. Especially in a retirement community, there's no reasons that you have to do it on a weekend. You could do it in the midweek and people will show up. So it's
Absolutely.
yeah, I don't know. I'm a diehard, I
Yeah.
guess.
I love that. Well, and honestly, some of the highest long time producing agents had, one time my team got to sit and have lunch with a gal that had established a very large brokerage here in this area, and they said, how did you become as successful as you are? And she said, well, I'll tell you, but nobody ever wants to do it. And she said,
Yep.
I did 10 open houses a week, and no matter what, come rain or shine, didn't matter. She said, I had all my signs and I put out at least 10 to 20 signs for everyone. And I did them consistently. It just didn't matter. And what happened? And that's how she managed to always do hundreds of, 100 plus units a year herself.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah,
or
just think about
cycle.
that. You have sorry, just think about that. If you have signs literally outside 7 days a week, 10 times,
Yeah.
it's just perception. Like, people think, "Oh
Yes.
my gosh, she's so busy that they're doing them all the time." It is perception. People driving by seeing your sign, "Oh, she works hard." That alone builds cred, street cred, they say, right? It's gonna be like, "Of course
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell her she's working overtime to get these houses sold," even if it's not even her listing. It is
Oh, yeah.
perception, but it also shows that she's got a little tenacity.
Exactly. I love that. And by the way, what a good point. Most businesses are trying to, like, if you've got an ice cream shop or whatever you've got, you're struggling to find ways to promote yourself to the public physically like that. First order signage can be expensive. Billboards can be in the tens of thousands every month. You have to commit for years. It's a whole thing. And, one little sign on the sidewalk can bring someone in for your lunch or your dinner or your ice cream shop or whatever you are if you're a restaurant. And yet in real estate, we're thinking that, that's for the new people. That's not for me. But it's funny because we're talking free signage in major intersections. Like you said, seven, I did that. It's like the math. That's 70 signs a week, 7 days,
Yep.
10.
And
I
it
mean, that's
works. Now,
incredible.
it
Yes,
works.
it
And
works.
my
Yeah.
tip on that one is, when I first started out, I just went to like the dollar store and got Mylar balloons, red hearts or red stars, and hung them until they started blowing off. Now I went to Amazon and bought the hard ones that literally stick in my signs every single time we do an open house. And my team, they were like, "Really? Do we need the balloons?" Yes, you need the balloons, because sign is a sign is a sign. Drive by, you just
Yes.
get to see signs all the time, and they just become something that you don't look for anymore, and you don't see them. They just become obsolete. So, but a big balloon, you're like, what's that? And so, and I say the
Yeah.
brighter the better. We've tried red, we've tried gold. We have hot pink and red now, and I'm like, honestly, they're the best. Like, it just helps you stand out. So, no excuses.
I absolutely love that. Yeah, so good. And you're making me remember something as well. I used to live in Texas, in Houston, and we lived in a suburb called Pearland. And my husband and I, to this day, we kind of joke about it, like I need to be Pearland Sam. And there was a guy who it wasn't the name of his brokerage. I think he was with Remax, but that's secondary to the fact that this guy's name, Pearland Sam with the quotes, and he had his signs everywhere. You just could not get away from it. It had this kind of balloon or bubble with his name on it, or his nickname. But it's like you say, it was everywhere, and I felt like his directional signs were everywhere. And hey, that's free advertising. So for women listening who feel called to something bigger but they don't know where to start, what would you tell them, or where would you direct them?
Are we talking specifically people that are in real estate or just in general?
It really, I think for this question is in general, people that, they want to maybe start a business, or they want to
Yeah.
maybe start a team if they're in real estate, something bigger than what they've got going on. Or maybe they want to quit that job and they want to go do something for themselves and become an entrepreneur. What would you tell them?
I probably tell them the first thing to do is go to the people that are the closest to them, probably the top 6 to 10 people that are closest in their life, and ask them, what are the gifts and the talents do you see that I have? And probably start there. I mean, and ask them to just kind of really evaluate like what they think the gifts and talents would be, and even ask them, what do you think I would be really good at? Like, what do you think my natural giftings and talents would be? Because I think then it's not going to feel like it's not going to feel like a job. It's going to feel like you're a calling, like something that like, this is so natural, it's God given, and I want to use that gift. And it could be in sales, and then narrow down from there, like, what do you like? Because if you don't like it, you're not going to succeed. You can be great, and everybody will say, okay, you're great in sales. But if you don't care about selling medical equipment, or you don't care about selling, I don't know, some widget on, then it doesn't, it's not there. But if, someone says that you're super creative and you have a creative mind, have you thought about, working for, doing some kind of production, or in bringing in products and importing products and putting your own marketing trade on it? Like, just, I think it's asking the people that are closest to you, I think would be the very first thing I would really discover. And just trust that has those people in your life, and they know you probably better than you know yourself. And maybe you're stuck and you need a think tank. You need a think tank of a bunch of people that you like, know, and trust, and ask them to give you the feedback of what they think you'd be good at. And I think you go from there.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. Mic drop there. So much good stuff there. And I love that, find out what your talents are, so that you can feel, because we talk so much about imposter syndrome and people have this stress around, do I belong here? You mentioned early on in our interview that in fact you had already kind of dealt with all that. You don't really think about changing direction so much because you have already made your decisions about what direction and that you belong in this direction and these kinds of things. And I can imagine this is going to be so helpful for someone, on down the road when things get tough, but they've had that think tank and that helped them get started and they've identified their talents and they've figured out where they fit. Then when things do become hard, it's easier to kind of say, you know what, I'm still going on this path. This is where I belong. I did the research. I've got validation from the people who are really important to me. This is, I think incredible. So I wanted to ask, when your story is still being written, and obviously ours are, what
Yep.
is it that you want that next chapter to be? I mean, a lot of my guests are launching different things, they're writing books, they're doing various things. Where are you at with your immediate future? Obviously you might be getting married soon, and so what are your thoughts around what's next for you?
Again, just staying probably number one true to what I know the calling that I have. So like continuing investing and building into the specifically the women that God's put in my life and being a part of that shaping and encouragement. I would
Yeah.
like to. I do feel like I'm called to do more speaking and to encourage more from a public standpoint. Probably still have a lot to grow in that area, but I have done some speaking and I used to speak a lot years ago. So just again, using that gifting and encouragement and helping other women and men, I'm sure too, to make those big life changes. Um, Other things I would say in the future is again, just probably growing my team and my, from a local standpoint, and then hopefully just a larger perspective as well, and just and growth and attraction with my business as well too. But I feel like I've done so many businesses. I've done businesses over the years of my life. I'm like I said, importing and design, and I've kind of done it all. And I know that like and often a lot most of those areas that I found myself in a career or in I say even a job, even though I was homeschooling, I did homeschool my kids when they were younger and they all graduated, went to college. But I did everything with heart and purpose, and I don't regret any of those things, and I loved them for the season, but they never were something that I knew that I would probably be doing for the rest of my life. Like, even my importing, I loved
Yeah.
what I did when I was in the moment of it, but I can't imagine doing anything different than what I'm doing now other than just adding to that. I so probably just
Yeah.
continuing to use the giftings that I have to help other agents. I really want other agents to grow in their abilities and see that they can make income and inspire them, I hope.
I love it. So well said. Well, Kelly, I just want to thank you so much for being with me today, for being willing to share your encouragement and your wisdom with our audience. I know this has been a very special episode. And like you said, your heart is in it. And I think we really feel that on this program. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. And for our audience, stay tuned and we'll be able to go through our takeaways and where you can find that worksheet and some important links. Well, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on Women Who Rise, the success podcast for ambitious women. Today, Kelly taught us to find out who is your who, know your ideal client, and think about where you can find those individuals and what you can do to ensure that you are doing business with the ideal people that will make sense for you. Number two, get your think tank together. Get 6 to 10 trusted friends to tell you what talents that you have and what gifts that you have, and then combine that with what you like in order to build a business. I thought this was such a great top level strategy by being able to ask others what they saw in you and what values and what talents and gifts so that you could imagine yourself and use that information to then go ahead and take together what you like and be able to create what it is that you really want to do if you are, in fact, starting a business or maybe making a meaningful pivot. Number three, she talked about distraction versus intention. Understand that you need to plan your time, including those things that are valuable to you. She talked about her daily musts, which was, working out and making sure that she was taking care of the things that were most important to her and her health, and understanding that you've got to be intentional with your time. She talked about distraction as being probably one of the biggest things that separates the people who end up accomplishing bigger goals or goals in general versus the people who are not and who aren't able to make their business work out for them. And then finally, she talked about the signage strategy, open houses, and things like that. You know, there is this idea of making your own luck. And she and I both talked around that. The fact that there are business opportunities available all around you. What could you do to put that into play in whatever business it is that you have? Could you be putting out 70 signs a week? Could you be doing 10 open houses a week or 7 open houses a week? And what is the equivalent of that if you own, a haircutting business or an ice cream shop? What is it you could be doing to let the public know that you're there? Take advantage of any free avenues of signage or booths or places where you could be displaying what it is you do. And then do it consistently. Do it every week. Do it with consistency to make sure that you will see the benefit in the long run. Realize that when an agent says they regularly did 7 open houses a week or whatever that is, 5 of them might not have worked out at all. But at 2 of them, and they could never tell which 2, they might end up with an amazing client or someone interested in buying that very home that they're sitting in. So it's not about having luck every single time you go. And it's about being consistent so that that luck has a chance to take place over time. And she also talked about the fact that any business that has that kind of a strategy where you can just get your name out there, it's going to look like you are, in fact, the most productive person, the most busy person, the most, successful, even if you are new. So there's a way to get the word out about yourself. So that's it. Please visit our website to find our episode guide and worksheet that will use these tips to take action in your own life. And then like and subscribe. Join us everywhere podcasts are streamed. We can't wait to bring you more valuable content every week so that you can rise in your own lives and careers. Again, thank you so much. Heather Mansy, signing off.